if you are more frequently communicating with those around you, the chances of you developing better relationships and getting along better increase dramatically.
Thank you for joining us for the Blended Kingdom Families podcast. This podcast is for blended families, the people who love them, and anyone who just wants to improve their marriage and family relationships.
BKF exists to break the cycle of divorce, equip marriages, and unite blended families with the truth of God's Word. It is our hope that today you will receive biblical guidance and practical resources that will bring unity and peace to create your thriving, healthy home. Let's jump in.
Hey guys, welcome to the BKF podcast. We are super pumped you are here with us today. If you haven't taken a chance yet, please like, share, comment, send us your feedback on this episode. We would love to hear from you. Today we have some absolutely amazing guests with us.
Yes, you guys, we have Dr. James and Ginger Dellaripa. Welcome, you guys. We're so excited to have you here with us.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Good to see you guys.
Yes, and we are excited, you guys. So we've known James and Ginger, gosh, you guys did the Blended Project with us, and so we were introduced to them through social media, but have become good friends with them, and we just love their ministry and everything that they're doing. And so I just want to share with the community a little bit more about you guys. So you guys, they are a husband and wife team leading a blended family with unwavering faith and just foundation in Christ. They are also the founders of the Family Core. They have this amazing app, you guys. We're going to dive into that. But their mission is to help save time so parents can spend it where it truly matters. You guys, they love the Lord and they love blended families, and we love them. And so we're so excited to have you guys on here today. So first, you guys, just, tell us a little bit about you, your family, the things you like to do, just anything you want the audience to know about you guys.
Sure. Well, we're a blended family of 7, so we've got 5 kids. So we have his, hers, and ours. We never looked at it from a perspective of step or half or anything like that. We're just family. And so we blended in 2010. And we had 3 children. So I brought 1 in, he brought 2 in, and they immediately knew that Christ was going to be the center and that church was going to be the priority. And that's kind of the way we started. So we kept that at our center, and then we added 2 more. In the midst of that, we serve at church, go to church. We do a lot of sports. We aren't 100% focused on our children. It's our marriage first and then our children, because Christ comes first in our marriage. So that's where we spend our time, and that's the majority of what we do. So
yeah,
absolutely. No, I think, first of all, I love your explanation of that. That's just beautiful. Yeah. And I hope people hearing this are encouraged by the priorities and what it can do for your marriage. But you guys took it a step further. And so this is really, I'm fascinated with technology, and I love what it can do, especially when it's the benefit, when it benefits people. So tell us about the Family Core app and really the heart behind that, because you can look at it and go, that's an app, but it takes a lot of planning and preparation to get there. So walk us through those steps and tell us what it is.
Yeah, that's right. So this journey, it's been a fabulous journey, but this journey began in 2018. In the middle of the night, as my beautiful wife, Ginger's waking me up saying, "Are you awake? Are you awake?" Because I've just had a Holy Spirit moment.
He was not awake.
He was not awake.
And she said, "The Holy Spirit just told me we are supposed to build an app to help blended families." I shook my head, of course, rolled over and said, "Let's discuss it in the morning." So we went back to sleep. I'm up early in the morning, looking at my emails, drinking a cup of coffee, and 4 hours ago starts jumping into my head again about what she had said. And it started to really make sense almost immediately. We've been through a lot of the common challenges that blended families or co-parenting through divorced families have and are challenged with. And we've done a pretty good job, at least according to our neighbors and other classmates' parents, giving us some props for how we're able to get kids where they're supposed to be on time and dressed appropriately and homework done and all those types of things that we're supposed to do to look like good modern parents. And so it made sense that, hey, maybe we have some organizational gifted gene or just spiritual gift rather. And maybe we need to share this with the rest of the world out there. We know that there's a lot of blended families out there. There's approximately 1,300 per day blending just in the United States alone per US Census. So I began to work on this idea earnestly that morning. I stole all the kids' colored pencils, all the 3x5 cards, and started building all the framework of what this app might look like and what it might entail. And we worked on it diligently for 3-4 months and came up with about 250 or 300 cards. And we were talking about this, working through this idea. What were the functions that this project needed to have in order to improve communication, increased frequency of engagement, and improve organization in a family, especially a blended family where you have outside influences coming in at you all the time. Mm-hmm. So we came up with 4 pillars. It's a chat feature, a geolocation service, a color-coded calendar, and a document storage feature that you can share with others. And it all had to be secure and HIPAA compliant. So we found a developer about early part of 2019, put together a prototype. They did a great job for us. We got it out there. We had an amazing amount of replies. We were getting downloads like crazy. We were in 6 of the 7 continents around the world in a matter of 1 year. And we decided, holy cow, this is more than we had bargained for.
Yeah.
It was a bit glitchy, the prototype. We were new to the software development world. And so we began to broaden our horizons and look for someone on a little bit bigger scale of a developer. And we found a great company. And we began to rebuild for version 1. We kept the same 4 parameters or pillars in place, but we made it a more aesthetically pleasing, a little bit more intuitive, and much faster functioning. So we built that out throughout 2021 and launched the laptop version towards the end of 2021, and then the mobile versions came out in early 22. And again, it has just been a continuing climb. Ascending climb of great feedback and a lot of interest. Again, we're back into six continents around the world. We're looking to change this thing into different translations, looking to go into Mandarin and Hindi, because we're already in Spanish and in English right now. Mm-hmm. And so it's been a wonderful drive. We've gotten to learn a lot more about ourselves through this platform. And technology. And it's just been a fantastic opportunity for us. And we're so thankful because it wasn't our idea. This idea was given to Ginge, and then we took it and ran with it. And so we feel very blessed that we've been given this opportunity to steward such a great idea.
No, awesome. That's good.
So let me ask you a question. I love the story of how it was developed. And our audience obviously is all blended families. Yeah. So the idea that communication is challenging is not a new concept.
Yeah.
We know this. So here's my question to you, James, is who is this for? Tell me like the ideal family that this is for.
Yeah, so when we began to build the prototype, we sent out a bunch of surveys. And we're trying to hit every type of family dynamic out there, whether it's single parenting, co-parenting through divorce, blended families, busy nuclear families, even just adults taking care of elderly people, right? Like elderly parents, whatever that family definition meant. And we got great feedback on most of the pillars from every single one of these different categories. So to answer your question, the app applies to so many different types of family concepts. It's hard to narrow it down. Now, we started with the idea of what is a blended family and how can we help blended families, because you guys and we know the challenges of blended families. We've lived through those challenges in a lot of the same scenarios, right? You guys have spiritual gifts that have enabled you to put the word out there and be a huge resource to thousands upon thousands of people and thousands upon thousands of families. And this seems to be what we're supposed to do. So our idea is to help anybody who's in a family organizational unit to be more organized, to be more functioning on a daily basis. And what we found is that if you are more frequently communicating with those around you, the chances of you developing better relationships and getting along better increase dramatically.
Yeah. And I think in step families, Scott, like you were inquiring, the ability in a nuclear family to miscommunicate or drop communication or forget to put something on the calendar or the adjustment of time, it's high anyways. It's a huge deficit in a nuclear family. When you add the component like we are, when you have biological dad, you have new stepmom, you have possibly other siblings that are involved. The children are just starving for the center of family, whether that's your family or whether the family at the other house. So when we created, we were trying to use, at the time, we didn't truly see them as gifts, but now that we went through an 8-year, very litigious, very exhausting court battle. So in that 8 years
for custody,
and in that 8 years, we were able to look back and learn that the major component of the deficit of the big picture was communication. So it was important for us to make sure that even, in nuclear families or caring for aging parents or pets or whatever that is, in our circumstance, how it relates to us in blended families, that we strengthen the ability to communicate between the two households so that the child doesn't fall in the gap. So dance recitals don't get missed, or doctor's appointments don't get missed, or either parent doesn't feel like they weren't able to get the same information from the pediatrician that the other parent got. So we just are trying to cross all boundaries so that the children don't get dropped. And at one point, we actually thought about saying the app that fills the gap, because we want to keep the children out of that gap.
Yeah. And communication comes in many different forms. Obviously, one is the telephone or email or a chat type feature, but another can be just uploading documents, right? You have the kids, you take them to the pediatrician for a visit, a well check, they get a new vaccination card. You take a picture of it, you upload it in the app. The other biological parent is on the app. They get a notification that something has changed in that child's folder. You've just communicated, and you've done nothing to email, chat, text, because we know there can be a lot of high stress ex relationships out there. But you've done your job as a parent in that specific manner. It's a form of communication, and yet you've kept in a nice neutral category, but you're still acting like an adult parent, doing the responsible thing, taking care of the child, and letting the other parent know what is new, what has changed, and they stay current in that child's life.
Yeah,
I agree.
Good. Yeah, in communication, you're absolutely right, guys. It's so vital. I remember when we were going through our custody case, our litigation case or whatever. And afterwards, they assigned us My Family Wizard. And I remember just trying to I was like, this thing, there were so many tentacles to it. And what I love about your app is it's just user friendly too. Like I love it. There's such a difference. And so anytime people ask us about technology, I always refer you guys because I've dealt with one, and not saying that one is bad, but I love that there are more options, because back then it was just this one option. It was like, hey, there's this one app, and so but there is more now, and so we always refer you guys to anybody that's having issues with communication with their ex or co-parenting or whatever it may be, to use the app.
Well, what's interesting is before we got, and we've known each other for a long time, this is how much this has been enlightening for me, is I always thought of it just as a blended family app. As you were talking, and I was sitting here just analyzing our own life going, golly, we are so busy. And I took our boys to the pediatrician this morning, and she doesn't know anything about that. So I was just in general, when it comes to, you mentioned the word communication. I translate that into connectivity. Mm-hmm. How are we connected? Mm-hmm. How are we connecting as a family? How can we use technology as a resource to stay connected as a family? Yeah. We are extraordinarily busy, and we have 4 kids that go 4 different directions. Yes, we need to know when there are softball games, when there are football games, when there are, when the kids have activities. We just need to know that. Mm-hmm. So it's much bigger than just, well, if my ex and I communicate great, we don't need this. No. You need it for just connectivity purposes.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think men view it differently than women. And it's funny that you said that, Scott, because James would use that word over communication. Women, we use that word, oh, we need to communicate. And he's like, well, how are we connecting? I think that that's a fair statement. So when you look at his, hers, ours, blended, nuclear, however you're looking at it, we building this resource to be able to connect. When he views the calendar, all the kids everybody's color coded. So if something comes up and I see it in one of our daughter's colors, I know it's for that daughter. Let's say it's one of our adult children that's now out of the house. Yes, I need to pay attention to it, but I'm not the one driving her to that event, or she doesn't have an expectation of me showing up. She's just allowing me the privilege of knowing what her schedule may look like now that she's out of the house, or even, our older boy who's, older than the rest. So knowing that it's on there, feeling included, I can round back with her and say, hey, I saw that you got into a new journalism class. Tell me about that. Yeah. That's separate from the immediate, this one has a choir concert that I need to drive her to, but dad needs to pick her up. Or the other one now is on a soccer team, but that's 3 miles away and one of us needs to get him there. Or I need to relay it to the next driving kid that we're going to assign a task to say, I look at your schedule. You're the one that's available. You need to go pick up your younger brother from practice because we can't get there. So being able to look at the calendar, I like to look at the calendar with everybody on it so I can coordinate. And he likes to look at it one child at a time. And for connectivity, he gets in the morning when he gets up to get his coffee, he gets an alert and it gives him an itinerary of that day only, of what's on that day and what's coming up the following day. So he looks
with each of the kids.
With each of the kids by
like
name.
A bullet point.
Yeah, by name. So the kids feel like, and the kids are like, my dad's a rock star. He knew I had a spelling test. He knew I had soccer at 4. He knew, he just knows. And so he reaches out to him and says, hey, I saw you have, a spelling test today, 3rd period. Good luck on that. And they're like, amazing. They feel connected. Yeah. And that's been a huge asset for us as well.
To your point there, Scott, that bullet point summary in the morning, that gives me an idea of what's going to take place throughout the day with everybody. And then those are the topics that I can use to engage with them at the end of the day over the dinner table, or just when I get a moment with them, right? Someone's folding their laundry and I go into their room. Hey, what's happening? How did that scientific meeting go to this afternoon? It gives me something in which to create a conversation with. And that is I think that's the exact definition of what you're talking about as far as connectivity. Keeps you engaged in the current state of affairs with what's going on with your kids. And, we got cornered once and asked, well, aren't you helicoptering over them and watching over them too closely? And I thought about this for a while, actually, because I wasn't quite sure how to explain it at first. And I thought, okay, I understand where you're coming from with that idea and the concept of what that means today. However, if you have children and you're constantly in their world, at some point they begin to round the corner, and it's not helicoptering, but they realize that you're loving on them, right? Yeah. You're actually interested in their lives, and you're concurrent with them and what they're doing, and they become keen. And that's exactly what it's about. One of our kids had that happen to them, where one of their friends was like, "Oh, your parents know everything that's going on with you." And at first, that child, who's 9, was kind of on board with that, like, "Hey, why are you all up in my business?" But after a while, she turned the corner just on her own and was like, I love that you asked me if I got my double back handspring, because what parent would know that I'm working on my double back handspring right now? Yeah. I'm getting that. And yes, the choir concert's coming up in 2 weeks and I have a solo part in it. So thank you for staying current in my life. Yeah. She literally said those things in her own words, but literally said those things to me just the other day. And so I don't look at it as helicoptering at all. I look at that as staying connected with my kids and staying current with them. And showing them, not necessarily if I'm saying I love them all the time, but I'm loving on them all the time. And I think it goes a long way to creating a new nuclear family in this blended family community that we find ourselves.
No, I absolutely agree. And, communication, we talk about this in our book, but it's like, it's the lifeline. Like, it's like if the heart, it's like the blood. It's the thing that runs throughout the rest of the body to keep everything going. Like, communication is so vital to any relationship. And so it's so important. But, you guys, I know that we have some people who are listening today that are really struggling in their blended family. They're probably struggling with their communication, whether that's in their marriage, maybe it's a step-parent, step-child relationship, or maybe it's even with an ex-spouse. So if they were sitting right here in front of you, what encouragement or advice, like what golden nugget would you guys just want to impart to them?
Oh, I think that as we walked, you feel like you're in the darks and the depths when you're in litigation and trying to nurture the relationships that you admittedly aren't always in the best place when you face your children or you face your spouse and you're in the circumstance like that. I think trying to recognize that the people in front of you aren't your enemies, and you can't treat them that way, and you can't respond with big emotion, even though there's big things going on behind the scenes. Your kids are not they didn't choose the circumstance that they're in. So you need to make sure that you're not missing in the moment. You need to be in the moment with your kids. You need to stay connected with your kids. You need to be in communication. You need to continue to nurture and build relationships with what is considered a stepchild or, a child that's now in the framework. Mm-hmm. They are kind of an innocent bystander in this circumstance, and watching, they may have a positive reaction or a negative reaction to what's going on, but they're feeling the same way you are. They're trying to transition and get through this as you are. I would say keeping Christ at your center, and that's not always easy either, but having, and I know you're in this circumstance too, making sure that some days it's not always the husband that can take the lead or the dad that can take the lead. Mom has to step up too. You just have to continue to shine in grace and in God's light so that you can continue to lead and stick with it. Find the resources. You guys have a plethora of resources, and we're all trying to build this community so that we can build it up. It's not, you feel broken, but really we're just trying to bind. So I would say stick with it, find the resources, keep God at your center, and remember that the kids aren't the enemy. You just need to continue to nurture them.
Yeah, when we spoke to you a couple of years ago before your book came out, which congratulations, guys. We touched on this topic a little bit, and the advice that we would have for either an individual co-parenting through divorce or a new blended family is that the individual pledges with the Lord, or you and your spouse pledge with the Lord that you are going to be the best parents that you can, despite the negativity that might be coming in at you 24/7. And you're going to hold out on that. You're going to be resolved to act in that manner. And you wake up every morning praying that I am going to act like the adult today. I know that I'm going to be challenged. I know that temptation is going to come my way that particular day, but I'm still going to act like the adult. Yeah. One of the questions in one of our surveys to children of divorce was, what's the one thing, looking back, older children, looking back on your parents through divorce that you wish had taken place? And it wasn't that the parents got back together, but it's that they got together, they got along better. Just get along a little bit better. So this is where I think the family core may come into play, because it's just another tool in the arsenal of helping you to somehow get through those rough days, still behave like the adult parent that you're supposed to, even when the other side is giving you a lot of negative energy. And it just helps you to stay in a neutral place, but still behave the way you're supposed to behave and what the Lord expects of you and expects of us all. And as we all know, those times will pass. And then when you look back on it, you'll be happy and glad that you took the high road and behaved in the manner that you did.
Yeah. I love that.
Oh, that's so good. Love that.
Guys, we're coming to the end, and we ask one final question of all of our podcast guests, and we're equally as excited to hear your answer as well.
We got to put them all together.
We do.
It's like 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years of answers in this question. But the name of our ministry is Blended Kingdom Families. What is a blended kingdom family to you?
Now I'm curious to see if I answered this like more than 3 years ago and if my answer compares, but I have always seen, and I think my children can attest to this, because my children are the ones that will pull up to the corner and they're like, roll down your window. Don't you have money? Hand that to that person, and my husband's like, what's going on? Why? Or reaching out and feeding homeless on Thanksgiving. Everybody is part of the family. I think that one of your first events was there's a seat at the table. I think that we're all in one family, and that's God's family. And you never know, our children could have passed their older brother at some point when they weren't siblings together, and then they became siblings in the end. I think that we're all part of God's kingdom. I think we're all blended in some way, and we need to respect each other and treat each other like we are siblings under one umbrella, which is the umbrella of Christ. So yes, we may favor those that are under our roof, but we really see everybody out there. We all have the same needs, and we all have one function, and that is to spread the word of Christ. And that's where we're at. So that's how I see it. We're all one big blended family.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, you guys, we have just enjoyed our time today, just, letting the audience know more about you guys and your ministry and just everything that you provide for blended families. But can you tell them where they can find you guys?
Sure. We have our webpage, www.thefamilycore.com, and you can sign up for the app there. You can get a free 7-day trial, and then it's month-to-month subscription-based. It's very, very inexpensive. It's a great value. It's all HIPAA and COPA compliant, and we do our best to always stay on top of all the security needs and organizational needs and make sure it works on all the different platforms out there. You can also go, if you want, to the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, and look us up the same way, the Family Core, and download the app in that manner if you'd like.
Awesome.
I love that. Well, and again, I would encourage anybody who's looking to connect as a family better to go try this.
Blended or not.
Blended or not, the Family Core is an incredible resource. It's an incredible technology resource. We talk about technology in so many bad ways, but this is a great technology. So if you're listening, go grab it, test it out, see if it works.
Yes.
But guys, we are so excited that you were here with us today, and we look forward to being with you again, okay?
Us too. We appreciate it. You guys have a great week.
All right, you too.
So
all right.
Guys, thanks so much for joining in today. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. We hope that you've learned a lot about the Family Core. You guys have a great and wonderful day.
Be blessed in all that you do.
Hey guys, so glad you were here with us today, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
And you can find more resources from Blended Kingdom Families at blendedkingdomfamilies.com. Join us again next time as we hang out with more amazing podcast guests. And remember, nothing will be impossible with God.